خسته و بیقرارم، پای رفتن ندارم، اختیار دلم را دست تو در دلم هستی و رفتی از نظرم، من که بعد از تو خون بارد از جگرم، درد و دلهای خود را کجا ببرم، درد و دلهای خود را بیقرارم، پریشان حالم، در غم او شکسته بالم، یا من ارجو لکل خیر، کو فاطمه آه از این عالم، بی من مرو ای فاطمه، بی من مرو. سینه بزن، اقامه عزا کن، جواب بده. ای فاطمه مرتضی زار و خسته، کنج خانه نشسته، می رود در پس ابر، ماه پهلو شکسته، خانه‌اش گشت بی نور و چشم و چراغ، یک دل است و پذیرای این همه داغ، زیر لب زمزمه می کند ز فراق، زیر لب چی زمزمه می کرد؟ رفته جان من بی تو مهتاب، رفته دور از تو از چشمم خواب، بی تو هر لحظه میمیرم من، خود مرا یا فاطمه دریاب، بی من مرو ای فاطمه، بی ای فاطمه، خسته و بیقرارم، پای رفتن ندارم، اختیار دلم را دست تو در دلم هستی و رفتی از نظرم، من که بعد از تو خون بارد از جگرم، درد و دلهای خود را کجا ببرم، درد و دلهای خود را بیقرارم، پریشان حالم، در غم او شکسته بالم، یا من ارجو لکل خیر، کو فاطمه آه از این عالم، بی من مرو ای فاطمه، بی من مرو. سینه بزن، اقامه عزا کن، جواب بده. ای فاطمه مرتضی زار و خسته، کنج خانه نشسته، می رود در پس ابر، ابر ماه پهلو شکسته، خانه‌اش گشت بی نور و چشم و چراغ، یک دل است و پذیرای این همه داغ. زیر لب زمزمه می کند ز فراق، زیر لب چی زمزمه می کرد؟ رفته جان من بی تو مهتاب، رفته دور از تو از چشمم خواب، بی تو هر لحظه میمیرم من، خود مرا یا فاطمه دریاب، بی من مرو ای فاطمه، ای فاطمه.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. Can you ask Brother Akbari to recite the Quran Majid, please?
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله نور السماوات والأرض. مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح، المصباح في زجاجة، الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية، من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية، يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار، نور على نور. نور على يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم. نور على نور يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم. في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه يسبح له فيها بالغدو والآصال. رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة يخافون يوما تتقلب فيه القلوب والأبصار. ليجزيهم الله أحسن ما عملوا ويزيدهم من فضله والله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب. والله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters. MashaAllah. Mr. Ashbari, thank you for your amazing recitation of the Quran. And welcome to the program. Inshallah, we're going to have an English program tonight, unlike the other nights. And inshallah, on Saturday night, we'll continue on with the English program, inshallah, for youth. Let us watch a clip, inshallah, and then we'll come back to you.
Love of Zahra flows in my heart. 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 Only when my father died, father stolen, my rights were denied. Abiha, he called me. Why did they push that door upon me? Then why did they push that door upon me? The door knocked down, rules forsaken. Behind that door Muhsin was taken. Since that time not once had spoken. But look Ali, my ribs are broken. Love of Zahra flows in my heart. 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 Oh Ali, they came knocking for you. Oh Ali, tell me what could I do? The wounds suffered I tried to hide. Even the grief that my son had died. Even the grief that my son had died. Oh Ali, my heart broke that day. In this world not long I would stay, leaving my loved ones on their own, facing such hardship all alone. Love of Zahra flows in my heart. 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 Only we taught our Hassan to become the generous one. He would pray with me through the night. he would see you do what was right. He would see you do what was right. But Ali, look at Hassan, such kindness yet he was poisoned. At his body they fired arrows. I cannot help but cry in sorrow. Love of Zahra flows in my heart. 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 Oh Ali, look at Hussein. Oh Ali, can you witness his pain? Without support, without Abbas. Oh Ali, can you witness his thirst? Oh Ali, can you witness his thirst? Oh Ali, look at Hussein, slaughtered thirsty with his beard blood stained. Who will tell Ruqayya he's slain, that she won't ever see him again? Love of Zahra flows in my heart. 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 Oh Ali, look at my Zainab. Look what they've done to her hijab. And my young sweet Ruqayya too. Without Abbas, what will they do? Without Abbas, what will they do? Ali, so many orphans you fed. My grandchildren were beaten instead. Who will keep Ruqayya from harm? Out of her grief she joins us in Sham. Love of Zahra flows in my heart. 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 Love of Zahra flows in my heart.
السلام على فاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها بعدد ما أحاط به الملك. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى زينب الحسين وعلى عباس الحسين. السلام عليك يا حجة الله في الخلق. السلام عليك يا حجة ابن الحسن. السلام عليك يا مولا يا بقية الله آجرك الله يا ابن الحسن. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Brothers and sisters, let us come together and pray for the arrival of our Imam. Inshallah, he has his eyes on us. Inshallah, he hears our voices. Inshallah, deep from our heart. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم والأن واهلك أعداءهم أجمعين. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة في كل الساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. Inshallah, we'll have an English program as I mentioned earlier. Thank you, Brother Akbari, for your beautiful recitation again. Inshallah, we'll have Ziyarat al-Yasin. This is the Ziyarat of our Imam al-Hujjah. This is the way he exactly told Sayyid ibn Tawus to, if you want to say salam to us, have this Ziyarat to us, have this say salam to us this way and this manner. Inshallah, we'll have Ziyarat al-Yasin with English subtitle, and inshallah, we'll come back.
سلام على آل آل یاسین. السلام عليك يا داعي الله ورباني آياته. السلام عليك يا باب الله وديان دينه. السلام عليك يا خليفة الله وناصر حقه. السلام عليك يا حجة الله ودليل إرادته. السلام عليك يا تالي كتاب الله وترجمانه. السلام عليك في آناء ليلك وأطراف نهارك. السلام عليك يا بقية الله في أرضه. السلام عليك يا ميثاق الله الذي أخذه ووكده. السلام عليك يا وعد الله الذي ضمنه. السلام عليك أيها العلم المنصور والعلم المسبوق والغوث والرحمة الواسعة وعدا غير مكذوب. السلام عليك حين تقوم. السلام عليك حين تقوم. السلام عليك حين تقرأ وتبين. السلام عليك حين تصلي وتقنط. السلام عليك حين تركع وتسجد. السلام عليك حين تهلل وتكبر. السلام عليك حين تحمد وتستغفر. السلام عليك حين تصبح وتمسي. السلام عليك في الليل إذا يغشى والنهار إذا تجلى. السلام عليك أيها الإمام المأمون. السلام عليك أيها المقدم المأمون. السلام عليك بجوامع السلام. أشهدك يا مولاي أني أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله لا حبيب إلا هو وأهله. وأشهدك يا مولاي أن عليا أمير المؤمنين حجته والحسن حجته والحسين حجته وعلي بن الحسين حجته ومحمد بن علي حجته وجعفر بن محمد حجته وموسى بن جعفر حجته وعلي بن موسى حجته ومحمد بن علي حجته وعلي بن محمد حجته والحسن بن علي حجته. وأشهد أنك حجة الله أنتم الأول والآخر وأن رجعتكم حق لا ريب فيها يوم لا ينفع نفسا إيمانها لم تكن آمنت من قبل أو كسبت في إيمانها خيرا وأن الموت حق وأن ناكرا ونكيرا حق وأشهد أن النشر حق والبعث حق وأن الصراط حق والمرصاد حق والميزان حق والحشر حق والحساب حق والجنة والنار حق والوعد والوعيد بهما حق يا مولاي شقي من خالفكم وسعد من أطاعكم فاشهد على ما أشهدتك عليه وأنا ولي لك بريء من عدوك فالحق ما رضيتموه والباطل ما سخطتموه والمعروف ما أمرتم به والمنكر ما نهيتم عنه فنفسي مؤمنة بالله وحده لا شريك له وبرسوله وبأمير المؤمنين وبكم يا مولاي أولكم وآخركم ونصرتي معدة لكم ومودتي خالصة لكم آمين آمين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, thank you for joining us for this English program. Inshallah, we'll have a lecture coming up with Sheikh Khalid, inshallah. But let us invite Brother Sayyid Abbas Hassanain for his, inshallah, we're going to have him in this program. So, Sayyid Abbas, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
So, it's your time. So, we, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, brother, and to your entire community for allowing me. My condolences on the recent commemoration of the demise of Sayyida Zahra, salamullah alayh, and just a few lines in English poetry in her honor. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is the daughter of the Prophet? Abiha. Where is the mother of Imam, secret of Allah? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? The people of Medina ask, where is Fatima? We heard all her cries, alas, where is Fatima? Oh, people of Medina, she'll bother you no more. The voice of Fatima was silenced by a door. Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Young Hassan and Hussein seek, where is Fatima? Fizza, without her we won't eat, where is Fatima? Oh, light of your mother's eyes, this time you'll have to eat. This time your mother's body broke, and now she's fast asleep. Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Haidar is busy praying. Where is Fatima? Hassan have come in saying, where is Fatima? Look at the Lion of Allah stumble to the floor. I've lost the best companion in the path to my Lord. Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? After you've gone, they'll ask, where is Fatima? But none shall see to pass, where is Fatima? If they had only listened, they would have heard Ali screaming into the night, look what she hid from me. Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? Where is the daughter of the Prophet, Abiha? Where is the mother of Imam, secret of Allah? Where is Fatima? Where is Fatima? صلوات على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Thank you very much, brother Sayyid Abbas. Thank you very much. Jazakumullah khair, inshallah. Inshallah, you'll be with Hazrat Sayyid Fatima Zahra, inshallah, on the day of judgment, inshallah. Let's, brothers and sisters, welcome back to the program. If you just joined us, it is an English program, inshallah, we're having tonight for commemorating the martyrdom of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra. Let's have the hadith of Kasa, inshallah, and then we'll come back to
الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم قال: سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت: دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال: السلام عليك يا فاطمة. فقلت: عليك السلام. قال: إني أجد في بدني ضعفا. فقلت له: أعيذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف. فقال: يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به. فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به، وصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله، فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولد الحسن قد أقبل وقال: السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال: يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. فقلت: نعم، إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولد الحسين عليه السلام قد أقبل وقال: السلام عليك يا أمه. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي: يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله. فقلت: نعم، إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا جداه. السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله. أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا ولدي وشافع أمتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب. وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله. فقلت نعم ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وصي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال وعليك السلام يا ابنتي ويا بضعتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرفي الكساء وأومأ بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم، فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماواتي، إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل: يا رب ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل: هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. فقال جبرائيل: يا رب أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله: نعم، قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك: وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم. وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم، فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله: وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله، إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي: إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول: إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. فقال علي لأبي: يا رسول الله، أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله: والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض، وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا، إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي عليه السلام: إذن والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال أبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله: يا علي، والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض، وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا، وفيهم مهموم إلا وفرج الله همه، ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته فقال علي عليه السلام إذن والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة.
Please, Mom, don't leave us, it's too soon for our nights to pass without moon. Don't leave this world with such misfortune. Please, Mom. And they also ask Imam Ali, their father, please, Dad, pray for Mom to get well. Please, Dad, pray for Mom to get well. Please keep alive her sweet smell. Without her the world would be a cell. Please, Dad.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, dear brothers and sisters. Inshallah, you're having a great night tonight. As we promised, tonight will be an English program, as we tried to hold an English program to commemorate the martyrdom of Lady Sayyida Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha. Now I invite brother Sheikh Khalid to join us for his speech, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Khalid.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, Sayyidina. How are you?
I'm sorry to keep you waiting with the du'as and with the clips. I know you're busy. You're in Najaf.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Our salams to Amir al-Mu'mineen, inshallah. And make dua for us, inshallah.
Inshallah. I have to apologize for the visuals. The camera's kind of off-centered. Unfortunately, the lights in Najaf decided to go out about 20 minutes ago. So I had to scramble. So I'm going off of the flashlight right now. I have to apologize for the quality.
It's beautiful. Your nur in the is filling up the whole image and page. So yes.
It's not my nur, it's artificial nur from the light reflecting.
The nur in your face and your heart is actually reflecting upon us.
Astaghfirullah, barakallah fikum, barakallah fikum. Inshallah, Sayyidina, are we going to make this today a monologue or a dialogue? What do you suggest?
There's no dialogue, so just inshallah on Saturday. Okay. Yes.
Inshallah.
Thank
inshallah.
You.
Inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Sallallahu alayka ya Sayyidi ya Rasul Allah. صلى الله عليك وعلى أهل بيتك الطيبين الطاهرين صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الله فاز من اعتصم بحبلكم أمن من لجأ إلى حصنكم يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. In the name of God, the merciful, the beneficent, all praise is due to the Prophet Muhammad and his holy household, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alih. First and foremost, I would like to extend the condolences to our Imam al-Asr wa Zaman, ajalallah ta'ala farajahu al-sharif. Secondly, I would like to extend our condolences to every brother and sister. In fact, Fatima Zahra, salawatullahi wa salamu alayha, is not only Ummu Abiha, she's not only the mother of her father. Rather, she is the abundance that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi has been blessed with. And she is the mother of all mankind. She is the mother of all of us. The Imam, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, he says, Nahnu hujajullah. We are Allah's hujjah upon mankind. وَأُمُّنَا فَاطِمَةُ حُجَّةُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهَا. And our mother Fatima is Allah's hujjah towards us. Hence we see in the narration it says, فاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها. And that secret that has been placed within Fatima. In a narration it says Fatima is like Laylatul Qadr. And he who can perceive Laylatul Qadr has perceived mercy. We'll begin the lecture with, as always, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the merciful, the beneficent. Chapter 108, Surah Al-Kawthar reads, Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar. Indeed, we have given you the abundance. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Pray to your Lord and sacrifice. إِنَّ شَانِئَكَ هُوَ الْأَبْتَرُ. It is your insulter, your accuser, who is without posterity, who is without prosperity, who is without lineage, who is without continuation. This chapter has multiple translations, Sayyidina, from both schools of thought. Multiple translations, multiple narrations, multiple incidents that refer to this chapter. However, both Shia and Sunnis have come to an agreement is that Al-Kawthar is one of the names of Sayyidah Fatima. The story goes as follows. A man by the name of Al-As ibn Wa'il, who was the father of Umar ibn al-As. Umar ibn al-As is the one who is known for his alliance to Bani Umayyah, for his alliance to Muawiyah, and for his stance with Muawiyah in the battle against Amir al-Mu'mineen, and for his historical misfortune, to say the least. However, they say that Al-As ibn Wa'il, after the Prophet had buried his son Al-Qasim, Al-As said, Inna Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi Sayyidi ya Rasulullah abtar. Abtar means that he is cut off. The Arabs, when a man doesn't have sons to take on his name, as in the Jahiliyyah, the time of ignorance, when a man does not have sons, they call him abtar, means that he's cut off. He has no more lineage. His name will not continue into the future. Now, the Prophet ﷺ was blessed with this verse, this chapter, which is the shortest chapter in the Quran, 3 verses, the whole chapter. Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar. It's as if it's telling the Prophet, don't worry about what they're saying. Indeed, we have bestowed upon you this abundance, this plenty. Al-Kawthar. Al-Kawthar comes from the word kathir. Al-Kawthar is an exaggeration of that word. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Pray to your Lord and sacrifice. Now we're going to go through each one of these verses, Sayyidina. Then it says, إِنَّ شَانِئَكَ هُوَ الْأَبْتَرُ. As we said, it came to tell the Prophet that don't worry, this is Al-Kawthar. Some narrations say Al-Kawthar is a river in heaven, is the Hawd in heaven. Other narrations say, while it might be true, there is a river in heaven that is named Al-Kawthar, The siyaq of the surah, the way that the surah is set up as in an answer. Where do we find that? We find that in the final verse. It says, indeed, it is your insulter, the one who is without lineage, who will be cut off from history, who will not have any lineage to carry through, where you have plenty. And hence we see the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, the sons of every man go back to their father, except for the sons of Fatima. فَإِنَّهُمْ وُلْدِي وَأَنَا أَبُوهُمْ. They are my sons and I am their father. Hence today we call them Sayyid. Sayyid, why? Because they are from the lineage of Fatima to Zahra. They are from the lineage of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi. Now we'll come to the second verse. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Pray to your Lord and sacrifice. In the narration, it says, when Jibreel came, the narration is narrated through Imam Ali salawatullahi wasalamu alayhi in the narrations of Ahlul Sunnah and in the books of our brothers. It says, Amir al-Mu'mineen says that when this verse came, Jibreel delivered this message. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وعلى آله إلى جبرائيل. The Prophet said to Jibreel, ما هذه النحيرة? What is the sacrifice that I have been commanded with? Jibreel answers, he says, Ya Muhammad, it's not what you assume. It is not the nahira of cattle, of animals. However, God commands you that you raise your hand during your prayer, during your takbir. That's first, during the takbiratul ihram, as we say it. Then when you want to do ruku', then when you stand up from ruku'. For this is the salat of the angels. This is our salats, the high angels, the archangels, and the salat of the angels in the seven heavens. Then Jibreel continues and says, O Muhammad, everything has an adornment. Everything has an adornment that makes it prettier, that makes it better. And the adornment of the prayer is raf'ul yadayn, is raising your hand at the beginning of the takbir. Inna likulli shay'in zina wa zinatu as-salat raf'ul yadayn 'inda kulli takbira. Every time you say Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, you recite the two surahs. Allahu Akbar, you do ruku'. Allahu Akbar, you do sujood. Every single time you do takbir, you raise your hand. Now, one would say, what does the word sacrifice have to do with raising your hand? Brothers and sisters, nahr in Arabic comes from the word manhar or nahr or nahira or inhar, the command, comes from the word nahr. Nahr refers to this region here. This region here of the neck, the soft part of the throat, this is called in Arabic nahr. So when you say inhar, it doesn't necessarily mean to cut or to sacrifice. Because the word sacrifice is it's similar to the word inhar, nahar. So here the verse says, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. So one of the translations is the fact that inhar here refers to raising your hand during the salat, which is the mustahab. Now, all of that being rather clear, then the final verse says, إِنَّ شَانِئَكَ هُوَ الْأَبْتَرُ. Indeed, it is the individual who insulted you, who mocked you, who said that, Ya Muhammad, you will be abtar, you will have no offspring, and your message will be forgotten. It is he who is without lineage. It is he who is abtar in actuality. When we come to see this, when we say that it is he who is abtar in actuality, we see today that the lineage of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi has been preserved like none other. I remember I read a while back, they say that the lineage of Genghis Khan has some millions of people around the world. And they did that through DNA analysis. However, nobody takes pride in that. The only individual throughout history, throughout mankind's history, throughout our written history, where people take pride, even when it comes to their death, is the lineage of Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Nobody else. In fact, it was such a claim to fame, let's say, it was such a claim to fame that even individuals such as Saddam Hussein claimed to be Sayyid, claimed to be from that lineage. Not only that, we see that after the passing of the Prophet Muhammad, anybody who wanted to legitimize their throne did it through that way. We see Bani Umayyah, they tried to veer away the throne from the lineage of the Prophet. Bani al-Abbas came and claimed the lineage was theirs because they are the sons of his cousins and they are closer to him. In fact, I remember in a narration, I believe it was Al-Mu'tasim or Al-Mutawakkil, one of those Abbasi rulers, he said that we are the sons of his cousin. We are his cousins. And you, meaning the Ahlul Bayt, are the sons of his daughters. And the Arabs take claim towards the men, not the women. I remember one of our scholars, he says, Banu bintihi aydan banu ammuhu. The sons of his daughter are also the sons of his cousins. Ali ibn Abi Talib is his first cousin. He's the second cousin of Sayyidah Fatima. Therefore, if your claim to fame is that you are his cousins, over here is the same claim. Then he tells them, he says, why do you concern yourself with these quotes? You know full well that you are a usurper. And in a side note, a story for al-Bahlul, Ridwanullah ala al-Bahlul. They say Harun al-Rashid, Harun al-Rashid is very well known as the Abbasi Khalifa. He came and he saw al-Bahlul sitting on his throne. Harun al-Rashid looked at al-Bahlul and he yelled at him. He said, Bahlul, how dare you sit on my throne? They say al-Bahlul stood up and walked down the throne. Then Harun went and sat on his throne as if he is the king of all kings. They say al-Bahlul looked at him and he said, Ya Harun, did it infuriate you that I sat on your throne? He said, of course, with assertiveness, in a very angry way. They say al-Bahlul looked at him and he says, Ya Harun, how will you answer the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi when he asks you, why are you sitting on his throne? And we see the same thing when Al-Ma'mun wanted to give the throne to Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rida alayhi salatu wassalam. Gharib al-Tus, Anis al-Nufus. I ask Allah bihaqq al-Husayn wa bihaqq Ali al-Rida wa bihaqq all of the Ma'sumeen that we may get to visit our Imam Gharib al-Tus. They say that when Al-Ma'mun brought the Imam, he told him, I want you to become the Khalifa. You are to become the Khalifa of the Muslimin. The Imam looked at him and he says, Ya Ma'mun, does the throne belong to you or not? Is it your rightful throne or isn't it? The Ma'mun said, why? He says, look, if the throne actually belongs to you, if it is your right, then you do not have the right to give it to anybody. Because if it is your place and God has entrusted this burden upon you, then you have no right to give it to anybody. And if it is not your place, if it has not been trusted onto you, then you have no right to give what does not belong to you in the first place. So we see throughout history, the people use the lineage of the Prophet, the descendancy of the Prophet Muhammad, to legitimize their throne or to kill off the legitimate claims to the throne. And again, we have multiple stories with Harun, with Ubaidullah, with Bani Umayyah, multiple historical narrations and historical facts that link to that. However, excuse me, my throat is kind of got a frog in my throat, so to speak. I can't really, I'm having troubles. Nonetheless, continuing, we see that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa paid special attention to Sayyidah Fatima, paid specific attention to Sayyidah Fatima. They used to narrate that when Fatima sallallahu wasallamu alayha used to enter the house or used to enter the room where the Prophet was, the Prophet would stand up, would stand up to greet his daughter. This is unprecedented in Arabia. This is at a time where people used to kill their daughters in fear of dishonor. The Prophet, not only did he give birth to this daughter, but he said that this daughter is my soul, the soul that I hold within my hands. At a time when people used to buy and sell women, the Prophet took these women that were in his life and he elevated them to the highest of status. Whether it be Khadija salamullahi alayha, whether it be Fatima, whether it be Salama, all of his wives. He elevated them to the highest status that a woman could be elevated to. Not only that, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa gave them certain things that were unprecedented in that time. Unprecedented in that time. In fact, people used to come and they used to wonder, why is it that the Prophet Muhammad would do this? Why is it that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa would give this much attention to this daughter? So the Prophet would answer very clearly, she is my mother. She is the mother of her father. Now that is a very strange quote that needs to be studied properly. The gist of it is the mother is the source of favor upon you. The mother is the source of mercy upon you. The mother is the source of warmth, of comfort, of safety for an individual. Hence the Prophet says that Fatima is that source of comfort and safety and beauty that I find in the world. And we find this reflected in the last words that she said, بِأَبِيهِ وَأُمِّي, and we will get to those at the end. However, she says, قَدْ كَانَ لِي حِمًا بِظِلِّ مُحَمَّدٍ. Oh, how I had protection in the shade of Muhammad. لَا أَسْمَعُ ضَيْمًا وَكَانَ جَمَالِيًا. I heard no oppression, and he was that my beauty. They say that in the Quran, I was able to come up with 7 different chapters in the verses in the Quran that speak of rewards for the prophets. Every prophet, the Quran speaks on their behalf, on the behalf of the tongue of every prophet, where God tells, Allah tells that prophet, do not take any reward. Take no reward for delivering this message. So, we're going to go through them, these 7 verses, inshallah. The first verse is chapter 11, verse 28. Nuh says, and I ask you no reward. My reward is with Allah. Chapter 11 also, verse 51. Hud says, and I ask you no reward. Again, chapter 26, verse 109. Nuh again says, I ask you no reward. Chapter 26, verse 127. Hud says, I ask you no reward. Chapter 26, verse 145. Saleh says, I ask you no reward. Chapter 26, verse 164. Lut says, I ask you no reward. Chapter 26, I didn't write the verse, that one. Shu'aib also says, I ask you no reward. And there are other chapters where the Prophet says, I ask you for no reward as well. However, the command came to the Prophet. And it says, قُلْ يَا Muhammad. Say, O Muhammad, request. قُلْ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ أَجْرًا. All of this that I have done for you, I ask no reward. I ask no reward of you, except the love for my nearest of kin. One could say, well, what did Muhammad do for us? Sallallahu alayhi ya Rasulullah. And I will simply answer this from the quotes of Sayyidah Fatima. What did she say in her sermon? She says, وَكُنْتُمْ عَلَى شَفَى حُفْرَةٍ مِّنَ النَّارِ. You were at the edge of fire. You were standing at the edge of fire. Whoever is in rush could grab you and crush you. You feared the night. You feared who would come out and attack you during the night. You used to drink water that was mixed with urine and with blood. You used to eat dried intestines that could not be eaten. They used to take what is called al-qid, which is literally dried intestines that they would spray salt on and let it dry out, and they would chew on it. It wasn't edible. So they would chew on it to stop themselves from starvation. They used to eat dried plants from the desert that would not be eaten otherwise. You were fruitless. You were useless. Then she says, فَأَنَارَ اللَّهُ بِأَبِي Muhammad. Allah descended this nur. Allah made this nur, this light, shine from within you through my father Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. In but a few years, in but a few handful of years, you went from nomad Bedouins to sitting on the thrones of Kisra and Qaisar and Rome and taking over from east to west of the world. In but a few years. And it wasn't but through the sword. It was through this and through this. Through the nur of Allah and His Prophet. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. However, the Prophet says, I ask no reward of you except for the love or the love of my nearest of kin. Now, this narration, Sayyidina, is not only narrated by us. This narration here, that my nearest of kin, Qurbai, which are Ali, Fatima, Hassan, and Hussein, are narrated by multiple Sunni scholars, such as Ibn Hajar, Al-Tha'labi, Al-Suyuti, Abu Na'im, and so on and so forth. I have the sources at hand, whoever is interested. They are at hand, at my grasp. When referring to this tafsir, or to the tafsir of this verse, there are many occasions where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam refers to who then his nearest of kin are. Now, when you read the translation, you'll see most translations would just simply say nearest of kin. They don't say my nearest of kin or your nearest of kin. However, in the tradition, in the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as is narrated from Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, we all know who Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari is. Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari is the one that stood at the grave of Imam Hussein and he cried and he said, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, 3 times. And he says, Habibun la yujibu Habibah. I love you and you love me. How can you not answer me? Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari is one of the closest companions of Ahlul Bayt, of the Prophet and his Ahlul Bayt. He says, while I was sitting with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, when an Arabi entered. An Arabi is the term used at that time. There's a difference between Arabi and Arabi. Arabi is me, is us, the Arabs. Arabi referred to the Bedouins, the people that lived in the non-civilized areas, that lived outside of the cities. They were called Arabis. When an Arabi entered, and he says, Ya Muhammad, sallallahu alayka Rasulullah, what is your religion? How do I enter your religion? The Prophet said to him, simple. You say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, but God Himself, one without partners or companions, and that Muhammad is His messenger. The man then said, and do you ask any reward for this, Ya Muhammad? The Prophet says, no, except the love and kindness of my nearest of kin. The narration says, except for the love and kindness. He quoted the verse, إِلَّا الْمَوَدَّةُ فِي الْقُرْبَى. The man says, Ya Muhammad, your nearest of kin or my nearest of kin? He says, my nearest of kin. The Prophet says, my nearest of kin. He says, Ya Muhammad, give me your hand. Let me swear the oath to you. And may God's damnation be upon anybody who does not love you and who does not love your nearest of kin. The Prophet says, Ameen. This is narrated by Al-Kinji. I have the sources here as well. Now, there are multiple verses, and I want to kind of go back to it, but I want to go back to it at the end. This important of paying attention to the nearest of kin. However, I want to see, or I want to explore the fact, how does Allah treat Fatima salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayha? Does Allah have special status, and is the special status revealed for Our Lady Fatima? In Surah Al-Insan, chapter 76, Chapter 76, هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. In this chapter, we all know the very well-known story, ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا. We all know this verse very, very well. this verse speaks about the fact that Ahlul Bayt, that Hassan and Hussein were ill. The Prophet suggested to the Ahlul Bayt that they fast. The Prophet and a couple of his companions, in actuality, that they fast 3 days as a nidr, to ask Allah to bestow favor and to grant shifa for Imam Hassan and Hussein. And the narration goes that 3 days that they fasted, and every day the Imam would bring enough bread for a couple of loaves of bread, just enough for them to eat themselves, no more than that. And every day, the first day, a miskeen came to them, someone who was poor. Another day, an orphan came to them. And the third day, a prisoner came to them. Now, by the way, in this story, Sayyidina, there's something interesting. The prisoners in Medina were walking around in the streets, not like we think today where they're shackled up in prison. They were walking out around in the streets of Medina to the point where they can knock on the door of the Prophet's family, of the first family, so to speak, the first family's door. And he would call out to them, Ya Ana Muhammad, O family of Muhammad, do you eat while me, a prisoner of yours, is hungry? So they would go and they would give him everything 3 times, 3 nights, and they would stay hungry till the next day. Because the Imam didn't give him 1 loaf of bread, rather he gave him all of the bread. He gave the poor all of the bread. He gave the orphan all of the bread, and he gave the asir all of the bread. Until this ayah was revealed. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. Then the verse continues and says that we feed you for no want, rather we feed you for the pleasure of our Lord. Then Allah starts describing the rewards and the blessings that Allah will bestow upon these individuals who have fed the poor, the orphan, and the prisoner. And Allah here, from verses 12 to verse 22, 10 verses, Allah describes the type of pleasures and the type of favors and blessings that they will receive in heaven. However, the one thing that Allah does not narrate here is hurun 'ain. Our scholars, they say Allah did not mention this out of respect for Sayyidah Fatima. Out of respect for Sayyidah Fatima, Allah did not mention the concept of hurun 'ain because of the status that she holds, that there is nobody next to her. Nonetheless, that is the status that Allah gives her. Does Allah give her another status? What about our sunnah? The Prophet says, I have been given the Quran and its equivalent, which is the sunnah. In the sunnah, we see in the narration, the Prophet ﷺ, he says, Allah accepts what Fatima accepts, or Allah is pleased with whatever pleases Fatima. And Allah is displeased and displeasured with whatever displeases and displeasures Fatima. In fact, whatever angers Fatima angers Allah. يَرْضَى اللَّهُ لِرِضَاهَا وَيَغْضَبُ لِغَضَبِهَا. Now, if this quote is correct, and it's correct from our narrations and the brothers' narrations, I don't need to say much more than that. I don't need to go and elaborate much more than that. Was she pleased with what happened, or was she not pleased? Now, if we go back and we say that the reward that Muhammad ﷺ wants from us, and it's not him that wanted this, it is a commandment from Allah that this is the reward that you shall provide Muhammad. In one narration that's mentioned in the books of our brothers, of our Sunni brothers, it says that this is my reward and I shall question you on Judgment Day about this reward. What have you done? What have you done with my family? The first thing that we can say is what happened to her after his death. We know full well that the first thing they did was they came to Amir al-Mu'mineen and they complained. They said, Ya Ali, tell Fatima to either cry during the day or during the night. Her continuous crying is harming us. It's not letting us work or go to sleep properly. That's the first thing. The second thing is she used to sit next to a tree by the grave of the Prophet. They came and they cut down that tree so that she wouldn't sit under that shade. The Imam then built for her a house, a hut outside of the Medina. She used to carry Hassan and Hussein and go to that hut and cry over her father. She would weep over her father. They used to say that she used to sit next to his grave and she would take the dirt from his grave and she would smell it, but it wasn't enough. It didn't fuel her. So she would rub it on her eyes. And she used to say, ماذا على من شم تربة أحمد ألا يشم مدى الزمان غوالي صبت علي مصائب لو أنها صبت على الأيام صرنا لياليا. Why is it that he who smells the soil of the prophet, of my father Muhammad, will never smell anything like it? I have been overcome with so much oppression that had this oppression been poured over the days, they would have turned into nights. They would have turned into nights. They say that the tragedy of Sayyidah Fatima goes into details. However, do we need to go into details? The fact of the matter is we don't. It is enough the word wa'in. This kalima wa'in. They said, Inna fi dari Fatima. So he replied, wa'in, what if? What if the one who the Prophet used to knock on her door for 6 months, and she used to say to him, Ya Aba, al-baytu baytuk, wal-karimatu ibnatuk. Oh my father, the house is yours, and I am your daughter. He used to say to her, but Bunayya Fatima, oh my daughter, Allah commanded me to knock on your door. To knock on your door, Ya Fatima. This door, this individual stood at this door. They told him, Inna fi dari Fatima, inside the door, behind the door is Fatima. He said, what if behind that door is Fatima? However, they say that Amir al-Mu'mineen bi Abi wa Ummi, when he came and he wanted to wash the body of Sayyidah Fatima. We know Ali ibn Abi Talib, Qali'u Baba Khaybar. We know Ali ibn Abi Talib as the warrior, the warlord. Call him what you want. We know him as the patient. In the narrations, it says that the Prophet, as he was telling Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ali, this will happen to you. This will happen to you. Will you be patient? The Imam would right away answer automatically, Bala ya Rasulullah. The Prophet says, Ya Ali, awa tasbir. The Imam would say, Bala ya Rasulullah, asbir. The third time, Ya Ali, awa tasbir. Will you be patient? The Imam would answer, Bali, Bala, asbir ya Rasulullah. Then the Prophet, he says, Ya Ali, will you be patient when you see Fatima struck? They say here the Imam stopped. He lowered his head. He couldn't answer right away. He stopped and he looked. He said, Ya Rasulullah, Fatima? He says, yes. Ya Rasulullah, will this be for the safety of Islam? He said, yes. He says, Ya Rasulullah, asbir. What am I going to do? I will be patient. They say when Fatima returned from her lecture, she said, Ya Abul Hasan, Ya ibn Abi Talib, اشتملت شملة الجنين اشتملت شملة الجنين وقعدت حجرة الظنين. Why are you sitting? Why don't you get up? Why don't you stand up? Why don't you take up your sword? Amir al-Mu'mineen heard the adhan. Allahu Akbar. He looked and he says, Ya Fatima, if I was to go to war, know that you will not hear this adhan ever again. Because the Imam is speaking on the future. The people in the future will say that Muhammad was a king, and his heir, his lineage, and his friends went to war over his kingship. And where do we find this? We find this in the words of Abu Sufyan, where he says, "Oh, Bani Umayyah, grab it the way that children grab a ball." They say Amir al-Mu'mineen, Asma narrates, she says, as he was washing Fatima, I was giving him the water. As he was washing Fatima, however, Fatima had conditions. One of those conditions is that he does not uncover her. She says, do not uncover me, for I am pure and purified. She says, I saw him as he was washing her. He put the water down and he went and he sat in the corner and he began to wail. So I said to him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Ali, You are the one that teaches us sabr. You teach us patience, Ya Ali. How is it that you are acting like this? He says, Asma, Asma, la talumini. Do not blame me. Asma, la talumini. Do not blame me. My hands just went over one of her ribs and I felt it broken. And I had no previous knowledge that her rib was broken. That's why we see in one of his poems, he says, Nafsi ala zafaratiha mahbusatan. يا ليتها خرجت مع الزفرات لا خير بعدك بالحياة وإنما أبكي مخافة أن تطول حياتي. He says, my spirit is locked, is chained within its size. Oh, how I wish my soul would leave with one of those sides. There is no good in life after you. However, I cry, fearing that my life will be prolonged. They say after, brothers and sisters, after the death of Fatima, the Imam had nobody of his kin. He had nobody that was equal to him, that could understand him, that was on his level. Keep in mind that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi was above Ali ibn Abi Talib. He was the source of favor over all of humanity, including Ali ibn Abi Talib. However, Fatima was kuff for Ali ibn Abi Talib. Fatima was the equal to Ali ibn Abi Talib. Hence the Prophet says, لولا علي لم يكن لفاطمة كف من آدم فمن دونه. Was it not for Ali, there would be nobody that was equal, akin to Fatima, from Adam until the end of times. When he lost her, he lost his equal. He lost his soulmate, as we say. They say that Amir al-Mu'mineen, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, he would be found in the desert, sitting on the ground in the desert, digging the ground with his hand. And he would narrate this poem, وَفِي الصَّدْرِ لُبَانَاتٍ. Within my chest are pains. إِذَا ضَاقَ لَهَا صَدْرِي. When my chest constricts with these pains. نَكَدْتُ الْأَرْضَ بِالْكَفِّ وَأَبْدَيْتُ لَهَا سِرِّي. I would dig up this earth with my palms, and I would tell my secret to this earth. فَمَهْمَا تُنْبِتُ الْأَرْض فَذَاكَ النَّبْتُ مِنْ بَذْرِي. Whatever this earth sprouts, that would be my offspring, my seed in this earth. Amir al-Mu'mineen was left with nothing. He used to stand at the manassa, at the minbar, and he used to say, مَتَى يَنْبَعِثُ أَشْقَاهَا. When would Abdul Rahman of the Muljim come to shed this with the blood from my head, from this? مَتَى يَنْبَعِثُ أَشْقَاهَا. He became sick and tired of the life that was left after the Prophet and Fatima Zahra. Hence he used to speak to death. He used to say, أَلَا أَيُّهَا الْمَوْتُ الَّذِي لَيْسَ بِتَارِكِ. O you death who does not want to leave me be. أَرِحْنِي فَقَدْ أَفْنَيْتَ كُلَّ خَلِيلِ. Leave me, relieve me of my pain. You have taken all of my loved ones. أَرَاكَ بَصِيرًا بِالَّذِينَ أُحِبُّهُمْ. I see you have your sight set on those who I love. It's as if you go towards them through my God. كَأَنَّكَ تَنْحُو نَحْوَهُمْ بِدَلِيلِ. It's as if you go towards them through my guide. It's as if I'm guiding you towards the people that I love. However, they say all of that is in one end. And the tragedy that was felt by Zainab alayhi salam is in the other hand. Zainab alayhi salam was 5 years old. After the Imam had buried Fatima, he sat and read the Quran by her grave, as was one of her wishes, one of her conditions. They say as he was reading, he fell asleep. He kind of dozed off. And he saw Fatima. She told him, Ya Abul Hassan, return to the house. Don't stay here anymore. He said, Fatima, why? You're the one that requested this of me. She said, Ya Abul Hassan, Zainab has just woken up. And she might not find you there, and I am not there. And I don't know what she would do wandering in the house by herself. I fear for her. I fear for what she would feel, for the pain she would feel. Hence, we see our scholars, they say, Sayyidati, Ya Zahra, what would you do if you saw Zainab wandering the Taf of Karbala, the battlegrounds of Karbala, when you weren't there, Muhammad wasn't there, Ali wasn't there, Hussein wasn't there, Hassan wasn't there. Abbas wasn't there, where she was left by herself, wandering the Taf of Karbala. In narrations, they say that when she went at night, she wanted to go towards the body of Imam Hussein. As she was walking, she tripped and fell. When she looked at who she tripped over, she saw it as her son, her eldest son, Abdullah. So she stood up and she continued running towards Imam al-Hussein. When she came to Imam al-Hussein, she saw nothing. She saw a stripped body, stripped bare of everything except for his underwear. She stood there. She looked, she said, Ya Jaddah, Ya Rasulallah, Hada Husaynuka bil-Ara. This is your Hussein that is on this ground. Maslubul imamati wal rida. They have taken from him his imama and his clothes. She used to call for the Prophet. However, what did she receive in return? She received the answers of siyat, of the whips, not unlike her mother. Not unlike her mother. That's why our scholars, they say, بِأَبِي الَّتِي وَرِثَتْ مَصَائِبُ أُمِّهَا. Oh, how I would sacrifice my family for the one who inherited all of her mother's problems, all of her mother's tragedies. However, she met them with the sabr of her father, Ali ibn Abi Talib. I ask Allah, بحق فاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها أن يفرج عنا يا الله. اللهم اقض حوائجنا، شاف مرضانا، ترحم على أمواتنا، اللهم احفظ علماءنا، اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج يا الله. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج يا الله. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج يا Allah. Brothers and sisters, please remember me and my parents in your dua. I am truly in need of your dua. We have a Sayyida Alawiyya here who is struggling with cancer. She also needs your dua. A brother in London who is losing a fighting battle with cancer, brain cancer. He also needs your dua. Please do not forget them in your dua. And please do not forget our Imam, Imam Zaman, from your dua. Brothers and sisters, he's waiting for us. We're not the ones waiting for him. He wants us to become better so that he can show up. I ask Allah to hasten his reappearance. Ya Allah. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات وأرواح من مات على الهدى والإيمان. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مسبوقة بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا الله طيب الله أنفاسكم، طيب الله طيب الله. استفدنا جدا.
جزاكم الله طيب الله أسماعكم سيدنا الجليل، حفظكم الله إن شاء الله.
دیشب تا صبح گریه کردی آروم گریه میکردی ولی من فهمیدم شونه ها تکون میخورد. بمیرم برام. شب تا صبح گریه کردی جان مولا الان اومدی. اگر تو ذهنت باشه مادر خودت دیشب تا صبح گریه کرده، اصلا حوصله داری؟ دیشب تا صبح گریه کردی آه من هم با تو گریه کردم. گریه کردم مادر دیشب که رویت شد قاتل من، دست تو میلرزید چون دل من. ای وای مادر، وای مادر، وای مادر، وای مادر، ای وای فربابت بگو وای مادر. از این ماتم خانه ما را غبار غم گرفته، مادر بنگر که حسن با چشم گریان دم گرفته. چی میخونه امام حسن؟ در خواب گوید مادر کجایی، راهی نمانده تا خانه بیای. ماجرای کوچه چیه؟ چرا نمیگه هستم؟ شب دیدم تا بخواهی روی پهلو بازگردی، با هر لرزش ناله کردی، ناله کردی، ناله کردی. مادر دیدم که بابام دور از گل رود با دست لرزان شد سرگرم تابوت.
السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى زينب الحسين وعلى عباس الحسين. السلام عليك يا أبو عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت بقى الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله الآخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى زينب الحسين وعلى عباس الحسين. السلام عليك يا بقية الله عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Thank you very much, Sheikh Khalid. That was beautiful. Thank you very much. Inshallah ma'ajurin. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters, for joining us. Inshallah, tomorrow we'll have an Arabic program, inshallah, continued with Friday night, and inshallah back to English program, inshallah, for youth on Saturday night. At this moment, I beg you and ask you, please, let's together with the salawat, inshallah, pray for the arrival of Imam Mahdi. Of course, he listens to us, he hears us, he knows that we are praying for him. It is actually better for us to pray for him. So let's pray for him together. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammadin wa ajil farajahum. Allahumma kulli waliyika al-hujjat ibn al-Hasan salawatika alayhi wa ala aba'i fi hazihi sa'atin fi kulli sa'a waliyan wa hafizan wa qa'idan wa nasiran wa dalilan wa ayna hatta tuskinahu arzakata wa mata'ahu fiha tabila. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum wa al'an wa ahlika adahum ajma'in. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء يا الله يا الله يا الله يا الله يا من لا يقال لغيره يا الله اللهم من علينا برضاك اللهم فك رقابنا من النار اللهم شافي كل مريض خصوصا من دعونا لهم اللهم ألبسهم ثوب الصحة والعافية يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء اللهم فك كل أسير اللهم رد كل غريب اللهم أدخل على أهل القبور السرور اللهم أغني كل فقير اللهم أشبع كل جائع اللهم اكس كل عريان اللهم اقض دين كل مدين اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب اللهم رد كل غريب اللهم فك كل أسير اللهم أصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين اللهم اشف كل مريض اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك اللهم اقض عنا الدين وأغننا من الفقر إنك على كل شيء قدير وصل اللهم على محمد وآله الطاهرين